Before I get started with the wheel settings, I just need to say a massive thank you to EA and Codemasters for providing me with a copy of Grid Legends. So these settings are for the Logitech G920 here on Xbox Series X. And to change your settings, you need to go into Options, Controls, and there you will see your devices connected to the Xbox. And what you need to do first is make sure that Logitech G920 is your primary steering device. The next thing you need to do is calibrate your device. So if this is the first time you are using your G920 with Grid Legends, I recommend you calibrate your device first. Turn the steering wheel to full lock in either direction. Hold it there and press A to continue. Now you'll have to hold the wheel at 90 degrees. For 90 degrees, the value is 900. So that little bar at the bottom, you will see 900. You just got to get it bang on. There it is, and then press A. All you need to do here is fully depress each pedal. So the clutch, 100%. The brake, you're going to have to hammer down to get to 100%. And then throttle, 100%. There's no handbrake attached. I'm not that rich. Here you can test all your inputs if you want to, and if you need to recalibrate, the option is right there at the bottom. You just need to press X. So with the calibration done, it's now time to set up the wheel. For this, you need to press A for options on the Logitech G920 and then edit device. You can change the wheel input bindings if you want to. Like for instance, if you have problems with the Logitech G920 brake, you can actually change the brake. You can change the binding for the brake to the clutch if you wanted to. So it's a lot easier to press the clutch for braking. In advanced input, you can change the steering linearity. Zero linearity makes steering directly proportional to your input. So wherever you turn the wheel, that is directly proportional to wherever the wheel turns in the game. Higher linearity makes the steering feel less sensitive for small inputs. So if you're one of those that jerks the wheel left and right to steer, you can actually turn the sensitivity for that down by increasing the steering linearity. If you are going to increase this or decrease it, I recommend you increase and decrease by 2 steps until you get the feeling just right. But I keep the linearity at 0. And as it says there at the bottom, all settings give maximum steering angle at full input. I also have soft lock enabled. This scales the force that informs the player when they exceed the soft lock range of the wheel. So some cars that you get into are going to have, say, 420 steering angle. Some cars are going to have a 520 steering angle. Some cars are going to have a 600. And some cars are going to have a 900. And it's pretty decent that this is in Grid Legends. Now it's on to vibration and feedback. Vibration and feedback enabled, of course. If you've got this wheel, why would you not have that enabled? Self-aligning torque, I've got that set at 100. If that is too strong for you, as I said earlier, it's best to go in steps of 2 until it feels right. So if the steering centering, so when you've turned the wheel and the wheel wants to go back into the center, if it's too tough for you, if it's just too much strain, then you can actually decrease this, and as I said, decrease it in steps of 2. But me, I like this one at 100. For the wheel friction, this scales the constant friction stroke weight of the steering device. I've got this set at 92. Tire friction, this scales the dynamic friction of the tire. This is the resistance of the tire to turn. And 87 on this felt the best across different classes. Suspension, this scales an effect that is generated by taking information directly from the vehicle's suspension. Use this to emphasize the road noise. So for instance, when you're hitting curbs, the wheel will vibrate, you'll feel it. And I have that set at 102. Anything less than that, it just felt too weak. Collision, this scales an effect that is generated by taking information directly from an impact. Use this to scale the severity of the collision effect. Now you're gonna crash in this game. You can't avoid it. For some reason, I just can't avoid it. I'm always crashing, and to feel it on the wheel, it can interfere with the self-aligning torque quite a bit, where you're trying to correct it and it's too much. So for the collision, I've got that set at 91, and that feels just right where I'm not fighting too much. For the soft lock scale, I love the soft lock scale in driving games. I really do when it comes to using the wheel. And this one, this scales the force that informs the player when they exceed the soft lock range of the wheel. And I've got that set at 115, which is, it's stronger than default, so I know I've hit soft lock as soon as I've hit it, rather than I've hit it and there's a little bit of resistance before I realise. Any higher than 115 and it seems to be too much. I have the centre force scale enabled and I have the centre force set at 87. This scales the return to centre force when the vehicle is reset to the track. This will assist you in straightening the wheels before moving forward. And if it is too strong, like I say, take it down in steps of 2 until it feels right. And that is it. Those are my settings for Grid Legends using the Logitech G920. These settings will work with the Logitech G923 as well. You may need to change the center force and the self-aligning torque for the G923 because the motors in that, the feedback on that wheel is much better than the G920. Don't forget though, if you are struggling with the brake, if the brake's an issue, change the binding for brake reverse to clutch. There's not as much pressure needed to brake. I'm not going to change it. I've got used to the brake in the G920. I'm going to keep the clutch and brake as is. But for those of you struggling with the brake on the G920, change the binding to the clutch. For the transmission, I've got that at manual sequential. The gear shift does not work with the Logitech G920 and Grid Legends. They're currently working on it. There is a fix on the way. I have had to unplug the gear shift, which is a shame because I can use it for the e-brake, but at the moment, it doesn't work. So if you do have the G920 and you're struggling to get it working with Grid Legends, if you have the gear shift, unplug it and it will work just fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave you with some footage of me using the G920 here in Grid Legends. A massive thank you for watching. If you did find these settings useful, a like would be super appreciated. And so you don't miss out on videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. I'm Steve the Pirate. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, play awesome.
last lap was A244.6. lap was